Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a updated tier list. There's a lot of new heroes and a lot of changes, and I'm gonna try to break it down for you guys. This tier list is gonna be based on the general power level of the heroes. I'm gonna try to not make it too much about high or low elo, but like a general consensus of where each hero stands in the current meta. We have a lot of map changes, a lot of item changes, a lot of heroes in general. So let's just dive right into this. First up, we have Abrams. Now, Abrams has actually never been bad. I don't think he's ever been under A tier, if I'm not mistaken. They did nerf melee builds. It's harder to fake melees right now, but he does still have some of the best mid-boss secure, teamfight util. Not the greatest laning stage, but still an A tier hero. Bebop is trash, ass, terrible. D tier. Can't play bomb, can kind of play ult, can kind of play some of the gun builds, but he's just not doing great. Okay, next up we have Billy the Goat. Billy is a pretty similar style to Abrams. He's like a melee bruiser with a lot of like disables. His ult kind of hooks everybody towards you. One big difference between Billy and Abrams is that Abrams still has the guaranteed melee, while there's no guaranteed melee for Billy. You can always get parried when you play Billy, but it's one of the new heroes. He's definitely good. I think I'm putting him slightly behind Abrams because I do think he's harder to play. Also, I don't think his laning stage is that great. He needs quite a few items to get online, but he's a very fun hero though. I think this is like a good power level for a new hero to have. All right, then we have Calico. Calico is kind of not so popular these days. There's always been this kind of like battle between Yamato and Calico and who's like the better like Spirit the Bruiser burst hero. And it's weird because it's a hero that definitely has a lot of burst damage and a good laning stage, but she doesn't feel that great to play right now, and I can't explain why. And if you look at the win rates too, I believe the win rates are going to confirm what I'm saying. She has a 48% win rate in the last 7 days. So we are going to put her in B tier. Next up, we have Doorman. Doorman is a very interesting hero. He's gotten a lot of attention for his ability to put down doors, to send people into outer space with his cart through the doors. It's an extremely high skill cap hero, and I think we've only seen the tip of the iceberg of what's possible with this hero. I don't think this hero necessarily will have a very high win rate, which we can check here, but I will say that this is one of those heroes that the win rate's going to increase over time. And another thing, it's a really hard hero. Heroes like Magician, Doorman, Holiday, they're never going to have high win rates, but they can still be incredibly strong. And this is one of the heroes that I think is currently S tier. I think his laning stage is incredible. He's got a lot of disables. He's got mid-boss secure. He's just annoying to deal with. Speaking of annoying to deal with, you have a Drifter. Drifter, when they released him, he was quite overtuned. He had a 60% win rate across all brackets, and then they did a pretty big nerf to his kit. He still has infinite scaling on weapon damage whenever he gets isolation kills. He's definitely one of the scariest heroes to get ahead in the lobby. And he's also one of the few heroes that kind of counters this whole playstyle where if you see a 7 or Haze or Infernus, they just disappear into the jungle for 20 minutes and they come back and they're super strong. And this hero is basically, it's a pretty basic hero, but his job is to kind of counter all these heroes that just disappear into the jungle by being very aggressive and playing a lot of time on the enemy map. But he is very strong, and I believe even after the changes, I think his win rate is still incredibly high, 56% across the board. Just for curiosity, going to check in Eternus, even in Eternus as well. So that's kind of a given that this guy belongs right up here. It's one of the strongest heroes in the game right now. Then we have Dynamo. Dynamo is a hero that is really hard to gain value out of in pro play. That is why you don't ever see that here in pro play. In pub games, which this tier list is for, by the way, Dynamo can have a lot of impact because it's the best ult in the game for securing mid-boss. It is one of the best ults in the game to make a comeback. You can hit one fat Dynamo ult and it doesn't matter how far ahead the enemy team is. He doesn't have the greatest laning stage, but once you get your items on this hero, it makes it really difficult for people to play around it, because the strategy to beat heroes like Seven, Lash, and Dynamo is to split push and take like 1v1s, 2v2s. But the thing that happens in most brackets is that there will always be big team fights. There will always be mid-boss contention and stuff. And Dynamo just deals with all those things very well. So I'm going to put him in A tier. I still think this is a great hero. Okay, Then we have Great Talon. Yeah, he's also not great. He's a not great Talon. He gets ran over very easily. There's even more heroes in the game now that can kind of gap close on him. Like, for instance, like a Drifter is just going to run you over. There's nothing you can do. Great Talon relies on having a good laning stage. And if he doesn't get a good laning stage, this hero is like literally 5v6 useless. Definitely probably one of the worst metas to play Great Talon now that a lot of the comps are very tanky, because two of the new heroes, both Billy and Victor, are very tanky. So it makes it even harder for heroes like Great Talon. I was going to check the win rate, but I'm fairly certain that it's pretty far down there. It's actually in B. That's actually higher than I thought. What about if I click like up here? Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So it seems like Great Talon does better in low ranks than in high ranks, which is pretty interesting. So I'm going to put Great Talon in C tier. Don't think he's having a great time in this meta. Then we have Haze. Haze is an interesting one because there hasn't been a lot of changes to this hero, but somehow her win rates are pretty good, which I find very fascinating. When I looked at this earlier, I noticed that Haze is all the way up to 52%. And if I go to the high ranks, it definitely goes down a lot. It's a very popular hero in the lower elos, but the win rates go down the higher up you go. But this is a generic tier list. It's not just for a top tier. Haze is a good carry. And one of the reasons why this hero does well in lower elo games is that usually the games last longer. So with the game lasting longer, it will also favor these kind of hyper carry heroes like Haze and Furnace, and less people buy counter items to beat them. So I'm going to put Haze up here next to Dynamo. Also a pretty solid pick. Then we have Holiday. Yeah, I hate this hero. I don't know what they smoked when they made this hero, but she's just too strong, man. They've nerfed her many times. Her win rate's not great because she's hard to play. But this is just one of the strongest laning stages in the game. On their best pick potential, endless amount of movement, and because her barrel is a knock-up, you can't use debuff reduction to stop the crowd control either. Just all in all, like a super solid pick. She's also picked a lot in pro play or banned a lot. And yeah, I just don't like Holiday. All right. Then we have Infernus. Infernus has been a solid carry for quite a while. Right now, we're kind of in a tank meta. A lot of the strong comps in pub games have multiple tanks in them. Infernus can kind of play like a tank, but it's not just that. He also kind of counters other tanks because you can buy toxic bullets on him. Or if you play Dash Infernus, you have a great way of dealing with heroes like Victor, because Victor kind of just wants to run you down. So I think in this meta, Infernus is a very good pick. One of my favorite carries in this current meta. Walkers take more spirit damage than they did before as well. So you, like if you flame dash onto a walker, you can kill it pretty fast. Pretty solid A tier. Next up, we have Ivy. Ivy, it's a very strong support hero. Similar laning stage to Dynamo in a lot of ways. You can get, like, Ivy is hard to play from behind unless you play like a spirit build, and it's not that big of a deal. But Ivy has a really good gun. They did nerf her a while ago where they removed her built-in fleet foot and all that stuff, but she's still very strong. And Katsubomb is great for clearing waves. Katsubomb is the only ability where you can clear a medium camp without any spirit power. You basically just need like extra charge or something, and that's enough to clear a medium camp if it's maxed out. So you can start one-shotting medium camps at like 5-6k souls. Her ult being like you can fly across. Global ult is always gonna be good. Stone form is good for mid-boss contest. Yeah, it's a pretty solid hero overall. Also A tier in my eyes. Spirit Ivies will grief your game. True. Okay, then we have Calvin. Calvin is probably the best support in the game, I'd say. He just has so many things built into his toolkit. His laning stage is strong. He has a ice beam that slows people down. You buy a rescue beam on this hero and he can just ice path up in the air and pull someone out of the fight. You pop your ice dome. It slows the enemy's fire rate. It heals you and your teammates. Overall, like, you can never go wrong with a Calvin pick, and you can also apply damage builds on him, but he's usually played as a support. But I think he's probably the strongest support right now, so kind of put him right up here. Next up, we have Lady Geist. Lady Geist is a good laner. I think the problem with Lady Geist is that she has no crowd control, no movement abilities. She's kind of just like, if she doesn't get a lot of farm and she doesn't get ahead, she's not going to be that great. I think all the new heroes made Geist worse, because I think some of those heroes will run her down. Like, I don't think Geist can like stay toe-to-toe against Victor if they have like equal farm. And same goes for Drifter too. Like I think she's not, she also got some nerfs, not that they were huge or anything, but I do think that she's weaker than, I think her strength is still the laning stage right now, but yeah, I think she's somewhere at the top of B tier. All right, then we have Lash. If this was purely for really high elo, I wouldn't necessarily put Lash that high because he's easy to counter. You can buy counter spell and he can never ult you ever again. People buy knockdowns and slowing hexes, but it's definitely a hero that can terrorize lower lobbies. And it's also like, there's 3 heroes that you always want to have on your team and not the enemy team, and that's Lash, 7, and Dynamo. Those are like the 3 very big team-oriented ultimates that can completely shift a game. So he's pretty strong. I'm actually curious what his win rates are in the last week. Yeah, that's what I thought. He is actually quite up there. And I think I agree. I think he deserves to be somewhere maybe like there. Then we have Maku Guinness. I think McGuinness is not that great. She's fine. She's annoying. She's boring, but she's fine. I don't know. This is just a hero that's really annoying to lane into, and then I don't think she's that great. You're never mad about having a McGuinness on her team because it's kind of like one of those, you know, you'll have an easier time with mid boss, you know that your lane probably will be pushed and stuff. But I don't know. She's not that impressive in my opinion. So I think I'm gonna put her maybe here. She's not as bad as Great Talon. Then we have Mina. Mina is an interesting one, okay? Mina is one of the new heroes who has a lot of damage output, but her health pool is so low. And this, I feel like this is the definition of a feast or famine hero, where like a good player who manages to get ahead in farm and stuff can do some really crazy things with this hero. But I think this hero is like incredibly hard to get value out of. Like when you look at her toolkit, it looks really cool and she is really cool and stuff. But I just think that like, I am never happy when I have a Mina on my team. I just know that she gets ran over by any tank in the game. She gets Mo ulted, she's dead. Like her health pool is like, she's super squishy and her gun feels kind of weak. Like of course you're using your gun mainly to proc to love bites, but she feels pretty weak. Slightly better than Talon. Then we have Mirage. Mirage has always been a solid pick. He's the king of side laning because he can just teleport anywhere to the map, and he's like the only hero in the game that is a true split pusher. Like he really just can be like, he can push a walker on one side, he can force someone to rotate and defend that side, and then if he can teleport into the team fight, now you're basically forced a 6v5, which I think is a very strong ability to have. He does struggle if he gets crowd controlled. He does have a tornado to dodge things, but he kind of does rely on just like auto attacking a lot. There isn't that much more to it. So I don't necessarily think it's like the greatest meta for him, but I think it's good. I think I'm putting him right up there. I'm also gonna check stats on him. How high is his win rates? Yeah, interesting. All the way down C tier. What about like high elo lobbies? Is he also, where the heck? What? Is he really that bad nowadays? I wasn't aware of that, but okay. Sucks to suck. Then we have Moen Krill. Moen Krill is one of the best pick-off heroes in the game. He has a really good laning stage. He can just heal forever. He's like really good together with heroes like Holiday and Paradox. A very popular duo lane that is played a lot in pro play is Holiday and Mo. One thing I will say, because this is mostly about solo queue and playing pubs, I do feel like Mo can struggle to find value in some of these pubs. It is kind of the same situation as Paradox, where it's kind of hard to solo kill people. You have to rely on doing a lot of like voice comms, IGLing, and someone else needs to do the damage. So I do think that he belongs in B tier. I don't think he's like, I think his laning stage is great, but I think he's like hard to get value out of in solo queue, even though he's not that hard to play. Then we have Paige, and I'm gonna say something controversial about Paige, and that is that her laning stage is absolutely ass because she has the worst gun in the game. So it's almost impossible to hit the orbs, almost impossible to hit the denies, and you basically rely on your teammates to do the last hits pretty much. I would like to preface by saying I know that that's pretty common in other MOBAs like Dota and League, but I just don't feel like that fits into this game, because in this game the supports also get farm. So she has cool abilities and stuff, but like, for instance, I think her dragon spawns too slow. Like it doesn't feel smooth to use the dragon. It's pretty easy to dodge her 3 as well, but her ult is super powerful. Her ult is super powerful. Her shield spell is super powerful. So if you are a duo and you want to play like hard carry plus hard support, it is a good hero, but I do feel like this is a hero that is like, if you just hop into solo queue, it's pretty hard to gain value out of this hero. And she has by far the worst laning stage in the game. Like, you just fully have to rely on your teammates, or you have to bank on being so aggressive that you can heavy melee the creeps for last hits, because like you're not going to be hitting those orbs. So yeah, I'm gonna put her down here in B somewhere. Then we have Paradox, my current main, playing this hero a lot. I think Paradox is awesome, really fun to play, really good hero. When I'm solo queuing, I actually have a solo queue guide where I play Paradox, for those who want to check that out on my channel. This is like the definition of a high impact pick character. It is the same issue as with Mo and Krill, where you kind of rely on other people to follow up damage. But I will say that Paradox is definitely better at solo killing than Mo is. Paradox and Holiday are similar in a lot of ways in that regards. But I also think this is a hero that is like pretty mechanically demanding, which is probably why, if we look at the win rates, I'm gonna assume her win rate is probably not that high overall. Where is it? Yeah, it's down in C tier. But what happens if I click Eternus? Does she go up? She goes up to 50.8. See what I mean? So this is one of those heroes where she is hard to play, but if you put in the effort, you're gonna be able to make a lot of impact in her games. It's currently the hero I have with the highest win rate, to 57% after almost 300 games. Yeah, I think she's really strong. She's been really strong for a long time. I think she belongs in S tier. And yeah, she doesn't really have a weak stage in the game. And you can buy a lot of different items on her. You can buy gun items. You can play bomb. Even late game, when you max out your bomb, you have a lot of area denial to go to Alk Fire as well. Like, it's just, I don't think you're ever going to be mad about having a Paradox on your team. Okay, then we have Pockets. I've actually like seen a decent amount of Pockets do really well recently. And one thing that is really interesting about Pocket in the current meta. So for those who don't know, Victor is kind of the new OP champ. He's the guy who resurrects. He comes back from the dead. He's really tanky. If he gets far ahead, it's almost impossible to deal with him because he has a built-in debuff remover with 3 charges if you buy rapid recharge. So you can't really buy decay. You can't really use spirit burn. You can kind of do heal bane and toxic bullets because they can always be reapplied. But Victor doesn't want to buy divine barrier or debuff remover because he's got a built-in one. So Pocket is actually one of the best ways to deal with Victor, because affliction is an ultimate with lots of healing reduction. But this is great against Victor because he's one of the tanks that doesn't want to buy debuff remover or divine barriers because he's got a built-in debuff remover in his toolkit. So basically Pocket Affliction can be a great counter to Victor. So I do think it's a good meta for Pocket, even though some heroes are pretty tanky. But maybe I'm biased also because I was playing with Ido and he was just shitting on everybody. I actually want to look at the win rates because it is a hard hero to play, and I feel like I need to put that into, yeah, so it's down on 46% there. But what if I do like Ascendant Plus? What happens to Pocket's win rates? Yeah, so it goes upwards the higher you get. It's so fascinating. But it's like, this is like a pretty common thing for the high skill cap heroes. I'm gonna put Pocket like probably here. Okay, then we have 7. 7 has been really strong for very long. Ever since they made the change where when the patron drops, everyone's respawn gets reduced by 20 seconds. It's been a huge buff for 7 because his ideal scenario is to ult inside the patron or inside the base. Like, he has extremely disruptive ult. They also upgraded the ult. It's a while ago, but they upgraded his ult a while ago to where he can shoot a lightning bolt and knocks people back. He has extreme farming speed. He fries through the jungle. He's also good against the new heroes. He's good against Victor because he's got Shred on his 3. He can also build a lot of debuffs like Heal Bane, Suppressor, and so on because his gun does also spirit damage, because when you have a lot of items, his 3 has permanent uptime. So overall, really good hero. Not really any downsides to having a 7 on your team other than the fact that he's got a big ass head, so his laning stage isn't the greatest. So when you play 7 lanes, your goal is just to go even with the enemy team. Just click your minions and hide on the tower, and click your minions, hide on the tower, and then disappear into the jungle for 20 minutes and then come out and press forward. But yeah, definitely up there. Definitely a great hero, and I'm almost guaranteed that the win rates will represent that too. Yeah, exactly. 56% overall, and in high elo also 55. So this hero is just really strong across the entire board. Then we have Shiv. Shiv has just gotten nerfed so many times that only the Shiv mains are really playing him now. I do think it's fine because he kind of had his moment of glory where he was like running over lobbies and stuff. And I do think that it's still one of the scariest heroes when they get ahead in farm. But I don't think he's like even close to as powerful or scary as he used to be. But I'm also never mad about having a Shiv on my team because like when you play solo queue or pubs in general, I feel like if you don't have two frontliners, it's gonna be really hard to win. There are so many games where like just the lack of frontliner because we don't have a draft system, then it's so hard to win if your team just gets ran over. Like it doesn't even matter if they're that far ahead, but like they just can't stand their ground. So I'm gonna put him up here, maybe here. He's not bad. He's not great. He's right bang in the middle. Nothing wrong with that. We need one of those. Then we have Magician. Magician is a funky one because that hero is never going to have a high win rate because of how hard he is to play and how funky and weird that hero is. I can almost guarantee you right now that it's going to be like 46 or something along those lines. Where is he? Yep, 45. He's just not going to have high win rates. But neither does Holiday. This is just to me, this is just like a hero that has like a really high skill cap and the people who are really good at him, they can do the most crazy things ever. I've played a lot with Duck and he's really good at Magician. I've seen other people's like Raigeki. The potential this hero has is like insane. If the enemy has good ultimates, it's one of the counters to Dynamo 7 Lash, which are like I talked about, those like 3 heroes that you always want to have on your team when you're solo queuing. He is, however, extremely hard to play, so I'm always skeptical whenever I see a random Magician on my team. And I do think I don't think it's a great solo queue hero, and you do rely on getting good ultimates on the enemy team. So I'm going to put him up here next to Mo. But I will say that like if I was talking about only the Sinclair mains, he would be in S tier for sure. Then we have Victor. Victor is broken. Straight up broken. Built-in debuff remover, so he can remove all the shreds and the anti-heals. His ult makes him come back to life when he dies. It is incredible how much you can actually overextend and get away with it. I think this hero definitely needs a nerf or some sort of rework. Is very, very unfun to play against, and also, my opinion, not that fun to play either, which is like a pretty interesting thing. I don't know if this hero is the healthiest hero for the game, but then again, I played a lot of Dash Infernus and it was kind of the same thing, so maybe I shouldn't complain, but yeah, I'm putting him right up there. He's really hard to counter as well. Like these other heroes up here, if they get ahead, you can still counter them with a few items. That's the problem with this guy. The irony is that to counter Victor, you need things like Crippling Headshot, Bullet Resist Shredder, Curse. Silence Wave is also an interesting one because his debuff remover is an ability and not an item. He actually can't remove silences. So silence is good against him as well. And it also has shred, so yeah. Okay, Vindicta. Vindicta is arguably the most annoying hero to lane against. I don't know what it is, man, but it just feels, dude, this person can fly and stake you to the ground. The most popular build is like Echo Shard double stake with Alk Fire and escalating exposure line. It's just like, it's like a mandatory debuff remover on everybody in your team when you play against a Vindicta. She is squishy for sure, but unlike Mina and Great Talent, she can actually fly away. She has a lot of control while flying, and that's also why the stake build is so good. She can be up in the air and cast all of the items and abilities from up there. So, and then it's also the only hero in the game that can generate souls from getting kills with the ult. You get 200, I think, extra souls for getting a kill with the ult, and then it gets increased to 600 extra souls if you have it maxed out. Kind of ironic, you know, it's a sniper character. Maybe you'd think that she would buy like full gun and go crazy with it, but she actually just buys a bunch of annoying shit. So yeah, she is definitely way up here. Then we have Viscous. Viscous is an interesting one. I think in a lot of ways, Viscous is similar to Sinclair, where there's like 5 people that play him really well. And when you play against those people, it feels like the most broken hero in the game. He has a great laning stage, very low cooldowns on the abilities. The cube is a very good ability to save your team. The ult is really oppressive in enclosed spaces, mid-boss room. I'm actually curious about the win rates of Viscous. I'm gonna assume it's not that high. And I'm also curious if it goes upwards. Yeah, so this is another hero, same as I mentioned earlier. It's a hero that will get higher win rates as you go upwards. But I feel like a lot of the time, I just don't see the impact from this hero. I just think he's annoying, but he doesn't necessarily win that much. So I'm going to put him in C tier. I would much rather have any of the other heroes in the B tier on my team than a Viscus. Okay, then we have Viper. Viper used to be like one of the strongest gun heroes in the game, but they nerfed her headshot damage and she relies on sliding to do a lot of damage. And a lot of heroes have a lot of crowd control, so she doesn't really feel that great right now. Also, like, I've barely seen her being played. She's just not in a great spot. She gets screwed over by Doorman, she gets screwed over by Lash, Holiday, Paradox, Dynamo Stomp, Abrams, Infernus. Like, the list goes on and on. Another hero that isn't in the best spot. I'm pretty sure she also has a pretty low win rate overall. I'm gonna assume, yeah, it's actually all the way at the bottom. So not the best time to pick up Viper. Then we have Warden. Warden received a pretty significant nerf because the most common thing to do with Warden was to just pop your ult and run down objectives. Then they halved the amount of damage output your ult does to objectives, but it's still a lot, which is funny. This hero has honestly, Warden is good throughout the entire game. I don't think there's ever a bad stage for Warden. You buy Majestic Leap and Lightning Scroll and you're like super online. He has fire rate that scales with spirit, so his top end peak can be really high. His base weapon damage is really high, and it's not that complicated to play, so it's almost like guaranteed value. Yeah, exactly. He's actually up pretty far up there. He has high win rates all across the board. He's like, you can't go wrong with a Warden pick, and I think I'll put him right up there. Then we have Wraith. Wraith is a really weak laner, but she's a hero that if she gets far ahead, she can go crazy. You've probably seen how fast Wraith could just like fry buildings in the side lane. And she has a pretty good like kit overall. She can also TP out after she pushes and stuff. I think she just like needs to not fight before she hits her power spikes. I think if you compare Wraith and Warden, like the scaling is very different, whereas like Wraith gets insane really mid to late game when you got like Tesla bullets, Merc Mag, Surge of Power, all these items. Whereas Warden can just like press his ult and already have shit tons of value throughout the entire games. I am curious if she has a high win rate. I'm gonna assume she doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's 49. I'm also curious if like if you go higher, does it change much? It's 50. So maybe, you know, you can say that she's balanced. She's definitely not terrible, but I would probably put her here. Then we have Yamato. Yamato is just like one of the heroes that is just really hard to deal with when they're ahead, because she becomes CC immune when she ults. She can just walk around and do whatever she wants. Her ult duration gets extended every time she gets a kill while she's already ulted. She's great for securing mid boss with like the parries and stuff. She has a pretty decent laning stage, a lot of poke, and the grapple hook just goes through 7 million dimensions. So like that grapple hook will always just find you. I'm curious if she's like got a decent win rate. So it says B overall, but I wonder if this is one of those like, yeah, so she's another hero that is like slightly harder to play, and you can see that by how her win rates go up when you get higher up in the ranks. But I actually think that Yamato is one of the strongest heroes in the game. I actually think that she's S tier. Maybe that's a bit controversial, I don't know, but I feel like I've seen so many games, and I think this is a good solo queue hero too. Because it's kind of like, just get in there and do your shit, and like you can't be crowd controlled, so you can always get value out of your ult. You need to like farm in the side lane for a bit, yes, but I don't know. I'm never mad about having a Yamato on my team, and also it counters all these like big team fight ults. She can ignore Lash ult, she can ignore Dynamo ult, she can go in and punch the mid boss crystal on top of a Dynamo ult. So I just think that she has a lot to offer in solo queue, and yeah, that's about it. So that's my tier list, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you learned anything today, and leave a comment down below of what my next video should be. I heard you guys on the movement guide. I've heard you guys on the hero counters guide. I'll have them up as soon as I can. And in the meantime, you can always come out and check out my stream on twitch.tv/AverageJonas, where I play Deadlock every single day and all that. Always answer questions if you have any. So yeah, thank you for watching.